7:01. Welcome everyone to the Monday, August 10th, Maplewood City Council meeting. I call it to order. I wanted to start out tonight by acknowledging that we are now this week entering it'll be 5 months that we have been living through this pandemic. And I wanted to highlight for those people who are listening that you are not alone. There are a number of resources out there available for both our residents and for businesses in the city of Maplewood. And I wanted to highlight a few of those for you. The Y that operates our Maplewood Community Center continues to offer food Monday through Friday, 11 to 2. So if you or you know someone who is struggling with food for themselves or their families, the Y is a resource and they can help you with that. Just this last week, we offered free COVID testing at Aldridge Arena here in Maplewood, and free COVID testing will continue for the next 3 Saturdays in between 2 and 6. It is best to register ahead of time because I think I heard last Saturday they ran out of swabs. And so it certainly is a popular thing to do. And so you want to register online. Ramsey County is offering that. So please check that out. We also will have links to everything that I'm talking about on our website. So if you have any questions, you can go to the Maplewood City website and you can find out about the free COVID testing. And it doesn't make any difference if you have symptoms or you don't have symptoms. It's free testing for the next 3 Saturdays between the hours of 2 and 6. If you own a small business or you are an entrepreneur, and you were affected by COVID, as far as your business is concerned, there is a small business relief fund grant that is available through Ramsey County, and the grants are up to $10,000. The applications are due August 18th. We will have a link to that as well. I know I have seen that on the Ramsey County website. I've also seen it on Chamber of Commerce websites. It is a nice opportunity to help small businesses and entrepreneurs who are struggling as a result of COVID. Also this last week, the Small Business Administration announced that there is help available for businesses that were damaged during the social unrest after George Floyd's murder. We also have a link on our website to that. If your business was one of the ones that was damaged, there is help available for you. And also available on the Ramsey County website, if you or a family member is struggling with mental health issues, they have 24/7 crisis lines that they can connect you with social services and social workers and resources. And so please don't think that you are out there struggling yourself. There are resources out there for both residents and businesses. And I just wanted to take a moment to highlight some of those. Like I said, they will all be on our city website. So please check that out either for yourself or perhaps you know of someone who is struggling in one of those areas and they can get some assistance. So with that, ladies and gentlemen, let us start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. City Clerk Sint, would you please do our roll call for us?
Councilmember Juneman.
Here.
Councilmember Knutson.
Here.
Councilmember Neblett.
Here.
Councilmember Smith.
Here.
Mayor Abrams.
Here. Thank you very much. Tonight, ladies and gentlemen, we will be using the following order for our round robin. First will be Councilmember Juniman, then Councilmember Smith, Councilmember Knutson, Councilmember Neblett. With that, let's move on to the approval of the agenda.
So
Is
moved.
there
Second.
moved by Knutson, seconded by Juniman, the motion to approve the agenda? Councilmember Juniman, do you have any items or any discussion?
No, thank you.
Councilmember Smith?
No, thank you.
Councilmember Knutson?
No, thank you.
Councilmember Neblett?
No, thanks.
Okay, hearing none, then let's vote. Councilmember Juniman?
Aye.
Councilmember Smith?
Aye.
Councilmember Knutson?
Aye.
Councilmember Neblett?
Aye.
And I vote aye as well. Moving on to the approval of the minutes of the Monday, July 27th City Council meeting.
So moved. Second.
Moved by Neblett, seconded by Juniman, the motion to approve the Monday, July 27th, 2020 City Council minutes. Any further discussion? Councilmember Juniman?
No, thank you.
Councilmember Smith?
No, thank you.
Councilmember Knutson?
No, thanks.
Councilmember Neblett?
No, thank you.
All right, then let's move on to a vote. Councilmember Juniman?
Aye.
Councilmember Smith?
Aye.
Councilmember Knutson?
Aye.
Councilmember Neblett?
Aye.
And I vote aye as well. Moving on, our agenda, administrative presentations, our council calendar update with City Manager Coleman.
Members of the City Council, can you hear me okay?
Yes, we
Yeah.
can.
Yes.
Thank you. So I just want to give you a preview of the next meetings that we have together. The first one will be this Friday on August 14th to canvass the results of the primary election, which is happening tomorrow. August 24th, we do have an EDA meeting scheduled for 6 p.m. And I'm not sure if the Maple Ridge Shopping Center TIF plan will be ready, but we're shooting for that. So we'll keep you posted. At the council meeting on the 24th, we will have the appointments for the Park and Rec and Nature Center Task Force. And just as a reminder, the deadline for those applications from the public is this Thursday, the 13th, at the end of the day. We will take those applications and create a spreadsheet for you to rank them based on the answers to the questions that were attached to the application. So, and then we will need a pretty quick turnaround time to get it in the packet for the 24th. So you'll be expecting something from us at the end of the week. In addition to that, we're going to talk about the vacant housing registry program and look at our PUD ordinance amendment, and then the Maple Ridge redevelopment TIF agreement. On September 14th, we will be approving the 2021 preliminary tax levy. Also, we are looking at a workshop on the 24th at 6:30 to go over the 2021 budget with any changes or questions or additional information that you might want. With that, Mayor, that's the calendar for the next couple of weeks.
Okay, thank you very much for that. Moving on to the consent agenda. Is there a motion?
I move approval of the consent agenda items G1 through 3.
Or a second?
Second.
Moved by Juniman, seconded by Knutson, approval of the consent agenda. Any further discussion? I'm going to start off with discussion by, I want to highlight number 2. Council members, let's see if anyone else has any other things that they want to highlight. Councilmember Juniman.
No, thank you.
Councilmember Smith.
No, thank you.
Councilmember Knutson.
No, thank you.
Councilmember Neblett. Councilmember Neblett.
I guess you can't hear me if I don't put my mic on. No, thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right, Ms. Coleman, would you please, I've highlighted the resolution allocating the CARES Act funds. Would you please give us a little bit more information about that, please?
Certainly, Mayor, members of the City Council. As you know, in July, the city received $3,067,000 in federal coronavirus relief fund aid. Under the federal guidance, we have until November 15th of this year to spend the funds in accordance with the guidance to the public health emergency. So what you have before us is our recommendations on how to allocate the funds that we've received. And this is included in your staff report and a suggested resolution. And the resolution is reflective of council discussions that we had and at our last council meeting, when we looked at the 2021 budget. You were giving some preliminary information on that. Staff has taken that and put it into resolution form. We really are allocating to three different things. The first one is to reimburse ourselves, and we're recommending that the city of Maplewood reimburse ourselves for $2,151,000 in CARES funds for things such as equipment and facility costs not covered by other grants, unemployment and workers' compensation costs, technology purchases not covered by other grants. And as you may recall, we did need to buy a lot of extra computers when we sent most of our workforce to work from home. So that was really important to us. Also, public health emergency services and payroll expenses for public safety, public health, and similar employees whose services are substantially dedicated to mitigating or responding to the COVID-19 public health emergency as determined by the city manager. And I would say that we are required to report, but it does not need to be submitted to the Treasury. We report it to the state. The CARES Act also includes provisions for business relief. The business relief component of the allocation includes $830 in assistance as follows. We are recommending.
Can I just make a correction?
Sure.
830,000.
Right.
Not $830.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, that's a big difference.
Yeah.
My apologies.
Zero
So
errors.
yes. So $30,000 is being earmarked for our businesses. And what that is a payment equivalent to 2 months of the 2020 license fees to current city liquor license holders to reimburse for the amount of time that businesses were required to be required to be closed. And if you remember, the council actually approved that about a month ago. We also are allocating $800,000 of the CARES funding for business relief purposes through the EDA, specifically for nonprofit entities who have contractual relationship with the city of Maplewood to provide services for two things. The first one is for the YMCA of the Greater Twin Cities, and we are recommending a $500,000 reimbursement for expenses for the YMCA's community response to COVID-19 public health emergency, including but not limited to delivering and dispersing meals for members of our community in need, to provide welfare checks on senior citizens. And I have to tell you, I've been in the room when they were making those calls, and it's very time consuming because people are feeling pretty isolated and they love getting those calls. So I really appreciate that. I think that's a wonderful thing they're providing for our community. They also have been providing childcare services for public safety workers, healthcare workers, teachers, and other members of the community in need of services. We also recommending that we contribute $300,000 to the Y for the reopening and monthly operations of the Maplewood Community Center from August 3rd through December 31st. And before I go on to the final allotment, I will just let you know that an operation agreement amendment will be coming before you within the next, maybe the next meeting even with the Y. I know our attorney Beatty is looking at it as well as the Y's attorney to make sure that we're covering all the bases on that. The final thing that we're doing with the remaining $86,000 the EDA, we're recommending give that balance to St. John's Hospital for relief purposes to be utilized at the Maplewood campus. Also, just note that the adjustments to these allocations between the categories may be made or changed by resolution at any council meeting. And with that, Mayor and Council, I hope that gives you an idea, a comfort level that you can support the resolution as written in the staff report, and I can answer questions. And if I can't answer them, I'm sure Ms. Palthus is on the line and she can answer those as well.
Thank you, Ms. Coleman. I think it was just, for me, it was important that those listening and in our community know how this CARES money is going to be spent. And certainly, I am in agreement with this. I think that we have done our due diligence in terms of how we are carefully accounting for that money. So I just wanted to highlight it for those people who are listening. Anyway, okay, so with that, we have a motion and a second, and we've already gone through in terms of asking any questions. Let me just do that one more time and see, now that you've reported, Ms. Coleman, if anyone else has any other questions or comments. Councilmember Juniman. No, thank you. Councilmember Smith.
No, thank you.
Councilmember Knudsen.
No, thank you.
Councilmember Neblett.
Not I.
Okay, then let's vote on it. Councilmember Juniman.
Aye.
Councilmember Smith.
Aye.
Councilmember Knudsen.
Aye.
Councilmember Neblett.
Aye.
And I vote aye as well on the consent agenda items. Moving on, we have a public hearing tonight, and I thought I would go over kind of the outline on how we conduct a public hearing on Zoom. I hate to say this, but I think we're getting better at this all the time. I still am looking forward very much to all being together and being able to have public hearings in person, but we will make this work. So tonight, our public hearing is concerning the EDA Tax Increment Financing District number 1-14. Mr. Thompson is going to be providing the staff report, and we will also have a representative from Ellers. It will be Mr. Keith Dahl. We will listen to both of them, and then we will, I'm also going to give an opportunity to the representative from Hy-Vee, Mr. Phil Hoey. I hope I'm saying that right. Anyway, we'll give him an opportunity as well. And then we will do questions by the council for those individuals. And then I will open up the public hearing. And basically, Mr. Folds will help us go through anyone who has indicated that they would like to comment during the public hearing. Everyone will have an opportunity to speak if they wish for 3 minutes. I will then close the public hearing. And if there are any questions or anything, then Mr. Thompson will be able to respond. And, we can also, if there's an opportunity or any questions for Mr. Dahl or Mr. Hoey, they will have an opportunity to respond if there are questions that are specific to them. And at that time, then the council will have their discussion. And there are two, there's one motion ultimately before us after the public hearing. So with that, Mr. Thompson, would you like to give us the staff report, please?
Thank you, Mayor and Council. So the city has received an application for a tax increment financing district for the site at Maple Ridge Shopping Center. Earlier this evening, the EDA met and they did adopt a resolution which establishes the tax increment financing plan, which effectively puts a tax increment, establishes the tax increment district, redevelopment district for that site. The applicant for this is actually the property owner. The entity is Suso 4 Maple Ridge. They're located in Toronto, Ontario, and they're managed by Slate Asset Management. as was talked about at the EDA meeting, what's really before the EDA and what's before the council here this evening is the establishment of the TIF district and not the specific financing and terms for the assistance for this project. That will be codified in a future redevelopment agreement between the EDA and the property owner, which would outline again the amount of assistance and any of the terms of the assistance for the project. As Mayor, as you mentioned, Mr. Keith Dahl is here this evening from Ellers. He does have the same presentation that was presented at the EDA meeting. If you would like that for the public hearing portion of this, also is able to answer any questions. So as you mentioned, Mayor, this is a public hearing this evening, and then after the public hearing, we are recommending that the council adopt the resolution. It's a different resolution than the EDA approved earlier. This would approve the modification of the development district program for the city's development district and the tax increment financing plan for the new TIF district 1-14. So thank you. With that, Mayor, as I mentioned, Mr. Dahl is available.
Mayor, would you like me to present the PowerPoint that was presented at the EDA meeting?
Yes, I think that would be helpful because there may be some people who are listening in on the council meeting and did not listen in on the EDA. So it's brief, but I think it's very concise and will help frame up the issue before the council. So if you would do that, I would appreciate it.
Okay. I will go ahead and share my screen then. Are you guys able to see that okay?
Yes, we can see it.
All right. Good evening, Mayor and members of the City Council. Again, my name is Keith Dahl, and I'm a municipal advisor here at Ellers. Mr. Jason Arsfeld presented this presentation at the EDA meeting earlier this evening, but he had a meeting to attend to tonight as well. So I am here in his place. So as far as the TIF plan goes, it's essentially a planning document which outlines the project scope, budget, estimates any fiscal impacts to other local taxing jurisdictions. It essentially sets forth the policy objectives and identifies the project location. I want to emphasize here that this is budget information contained in the TIF plan, and it's based on statutory maximums. So it doesn't actually reflect the amount of assistance that would be given to the developer and the property owner. The terms of the assistance will be addressed at a later EDA meeting. I believe it was August 24th. But the amount of assistance I can share at this time, that is $500,000, and that's anticipated to be generated over about 8.5 years. And that figure does account for a 10% administration withholding for the city and EDA to retain and use for expenses throughout the life of the TIF district as far as administration stuff goes. The questions we're specifically answering this evening in the TIF plan is: 1, does the project qualify for a TIF district? 2, will the project generate positive tax increment over time? And 3, could this project be constructed in the foreseeable future without the need for tax increment financing? And this is referred to as a but-for test. So for the first question, yes, the project meets the qualifications of a redevelopment TIF district since it meets the coverage and blight test. And that's specifically, the coverage test is 70% of the area within the district must be occupied by buildings, streets, utilities, paved or graveled parking lots. In this case, the majority of the area is indeed covered. And then the blight test is 50% of the buildings need to be found structurally substandard, in which the LHB report included in your packet this evening and the TIF plan did find that both the coverage and the blight test were met. As far as the second question, yes, over time, the project will generate positive tax increment. It will generate about a little over, or a little under actually, $4.8 million over 26 years, and that's based on a project valuation of $15.5 million. I do want to also mention that in the TIF plan, TIF estimate, we've assumed a 3% inflation over time and a 4% interest rate. This just provides the EDA and the city council future flexibility should anything else arise that the TIF district may go towards pooled redevelopment funds in the future and so forth. It just provides flexibility in the future for things to change. And then as far as the third question goes, no, this project would not be built in the foreseeable future since there are increased costs associated with redevelopment, specifically acquisition, demolition, remediation, and other various site improvements that make it only feasible for this site to be redeveloped with public assistance. As far as the next steps are concerned, the City Council is holding the public hearing tonight, this evening, on the TIF plan, and if approved, the EDA will review and consider the development agreement at a later date. In addition, the City Council will also be reviewing an interfund loan resolution at a later date as well, and this will just allow the city the ability to advance funds up front to cover any upfront costs associated with the project and the establishment of the TIF district. And I do want to say that these funds that the city would expend at the beginning could be repaid from the tax increment generated within the district over time, and that would be at an interest rate as well. So with that, I can turn it back over to the mayor for any questions she may have or any of the city council members.
Thank you. I thought what I would do at this time is ask if Mr. Phil Hoey with Hy-Vee has anything that he would like to say so that we can do this kind of in an organized way, and then we'll get to questions by the council in a minute.
Madam Mayor, thank you. So Phil Hoey, Director of Real Estate with Hy-Vee. I don't think I have anything to add to Keith's presentation. Really, the TIF application is the owner of the development, is really the applicant, and I'm not sure if anybody from Slate is on and has anything to say. I'll just maybe throw out there that, and this was probably discussed at the EDA meeting, but that I understand the purpose of this TIF is to pay for public improvements to the center, improved access, and signalization and safety measures for safer access as well. So that is the intent of the TIF, is for at least a portion repayment, I should say, not to cover the cost, but to help pay for some of those public improvements.
Thank you very much for that. I believe Brittany Finch with Slate Asset Management may be on the line.
Yes, that's correct. I'm here. I think with what Phil said and with the presentation, I was also on the earlier meeting. I think everything has been covered. If there's further questions, we can answer that. But I think everyone did a good job covering the main points.
Okay, thank you very much for that. Then council members, do you have any questions for Mr. Thompson or Mr. Dahl, Ms. Finch, or Mr. Hoey? Councilmember Juniman.
This is just a clarification, and it's for us, but it's also for the people who are listening, that, excuse me, TIF money in this situation, because we didn't really include this in our original discussion tonight, is not only because this is a blighted site, one need only see the pictures of that building, might I say, but also as he just mentioned, the change of access and therefore improving the safety of access with a lighted intersection so that people are aware that that's part of this. That's my only point at this point. Thank you.
Thank you. That's a very good point. And I think we all know, who have ever been in that shopping center, that getting in and getting out is challenging. It's challenging. Okay, Councilmember Smith.
Nothing to add there.
Okay, Councilmember Knudsen.
Oh, I just have a question that maybe the listeners would like to know, that was asked in the EDA, and that was, how long is the lease that Hy-Vee has?
Okay.
The lease is the
Ms.
lease is
Dahl?
15.
I'm sorry, Ms. Finch?
Sorry, the lease was 15 years.
Thank you.
Councilmember Neblett?
No, thank you, Mayor.
Okay, then I have no questions. And so at this time, Mr. Folds, I am going to call the public hearing. I'm going to open it at this time. Mr. Folds, who do we have that would like to make a presentation?
Well, Mayor and Council, I'm not quite sure yet, but the process that I'm going to hold to that we've done in the past is we have 7 participants or 7 attendees, if you will. It may be a bit redundant because I'm going to call on each of them again, and some of them may be on the line for other items, but we're going to give them a chance to give public comment should they like to. So I'll go one by one and unmute. Brittany Finch, would you like to give any public comment on this item?
I have nothing to add.
Thank you. Phil Hoy, would you like to give any additional public comment on this?
No, thank you.
Thank you. Jay Dema, would you like to give public comment on this item?
No, thank you.
Great. John Slack, would you like to give public comment on this item?
No, thank you.
Thank you. Martha Faust, would you like to give public comment on this item?
No, thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Reinhardt, would you like to give public comment on this item?
No, thank you.
Great. And lastly, we have a caller with the last 4 digits of 1562. Would you like to give public comment on this item?
No, I would not.
Thank you. Mayor and Council, that are all 7 attendees.
Okay, with that then, I will close the public hearing at this point in time. Mr. Thompson, back to you. Is there anything else that you would like to add?
Mayor and Council, we have nothing further to add at this point. As I mentioned, for your consideration is the draft resolution prepared by the city attorney that's included in your packet.
Okay, thank you. Council members, time for our discussion. Council member Juniman.
No, thank you.
Councilmember Smith.
No, thanks.
Councilmember Knutson.
No, thank you.
Councilmember Neblett.
No, thank you.
All right, hearing no further questions or discussion, is there a motion?
I move approval of the resolution approving the modification of the Development District Program for Development District Number 1 and the Tax Increment Financing Plan for Tax Increment Financing District Number 1-14.
Second.
Moved by Juniman, seconded by Neblett, the motion to adopt the resolution approving modification of the Development District Program for Development District Number 1 and the Tax Increment Financing Plan for TIF District Number 1-14. Any further discussion? Councilmember Juniman.
No, thank you.
Councilmember Smith.
No, thank you.
Councilmember Knutson.
No, thank you.
Councilmember Neblett.
No, thanks.
Okay, then let's move on to a vote. Councilmember Juniman.
Aye.
Councilmember Smith.
Aye.
Councilmember Knutson.
Aye.
Councilmember Neblett.
Aye.
And I vote aye as well. The motion passes. And we move on to new business. Before us, we have an ordinance amending the off-sale intoxicating liquor license regulations. Mr. Thompson, this is your item as well.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. So at your meeting on July 27th, you reviewed a request we have received from Hy-Vee. It's related to the site we just talked about, which is the vacant grocery store site at Maple Ridge Center. At your meeting on July 27th, you reviewed a request from Hy-Vee to amend the city's liquor ordinance. The city's liquor licensing ordinance currently states that a new off-sale liquor store cannot be located within 1/2 mile of an existing off-sale liquor store. So you reviewed the request, you reviewed some background information that the city prepared, staff prepared in terms of the history of that requirement, what other cities are doing in terms of separation of liquor stores. You then reviewed 4 options for responding to the request from Hy-Vee, and then received public comment, both in written format and then as well as part of the public hearing agenda to receive public comments, the majority of which was from existing license holders in Maplewood. Upon reviewing the 4 options, which range from no changes to the ordinance and maintaining the current requirement to outright eliminating it, a majority of the council did indicate support in moving forward with eliminating the separation requirement. So staff has drafted an ordinance which would implement that option. It's a very straightforward amendment. It takes the section of the city's liquor ordinance which requires that 1/2 mile separation and simply strikes and deletes it entirely with no replacement language. So this would have the effect of no longer requiring any separation between off-sale liquor establishments. It would allow them in any proximity to an existing establishment. So that is the draft ordinance before you this evening. Typically, there may be a summary publication resolution. We are not including that in the packet just because of how short this ordinance amendment is this evening. So with that, I'm happy to answer any questions of this application, but we're requesting that the council approve this ordinance, which makes the amendment that I've outlined. So with that, I'm happy to answer any questions, Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Thompson. Questions, Councilmember Juniman,
No, thank you.
Councilmember Smith,
No, thank you.
Councilmember Knutson,
No, thank you.
Councilmember Neblett,
No, thank you.
and I don't have any questions either. Council members, is there a motion?
Motion to adopt the ordinance, Chapter 6, Article 3, Division 2, Subdivision 1, Section 169 by removing the off-sale intoxicating liquor license distance regulations.
Second.
Moved by Knutson, seconded by Neblett. The motion to adopt the ordinance amending Chapter 6, Article 3, Division 2, Subdivision 1,
Excuse me.
Section 169 by removing the off-sale intoxicating liquor license distance regulations. Any further discussion? Councilmember Juniman,
No, thank you.
Councilmember Smith,
No, thank you.
Councilmember Knutson,
No, thank you.
Councilmember Neblett.
No, thank you.
I have no questions either or further discussion. Then let's vote. Council members, Councilmember Juniman,
Since I like to be consistent, no.
Councilmember Smith,
Aye.
Councilmember Knutson,
Aye.
Councilmember Neblett,
Aye.
and I vote aye as well. The motion passes. And we move on to the next agenda item, which is the Maple Ridge Convenience Store located at 2501 White Bear Avenue. Council members, there are 2 motions for us on this particular item. Mr. Thompson, this is yours as well.
Thank you, Mayor. Just give me one moment to share my screen. Can you see the presentation?
Yes, we can.
So thank you, Mayor and Council. common theme here. This is the third agenda item on tonight's agenda related to the redevelopment of the Maple Ridge Shopping Center. And this is related to the actual land use and development applications associated with the grocery, well, ultimately associated with the convenience store and access changes for this site. Oops. Okay. Oh, sorry about that. So the request is to construct a new convenience store. So there would be a new detached outbuilding constructed along White Bear Avenue. It would be about 4,200 square feet in size. It would include a gas station, a convenience store, and coffee shop. And then the application also makes access improvements to both White Bear Avenue, which is a county road, and to Jarvis Avenue to the south, which is a city street. There are 3 items requested in this application. The first is a conditional use permit, second is design review, and thirdly, a comprehensive sign plan. So there are conditional use permits required for 2 things. First is for a planned unit development. A planned unit development is a zoning tool that allows a unified site design flexibility from certain requirements of our code and our zoning ordinance provisions. In this case, there's 2 items requesting flexibility. One is for a reduced setback from White Bear Avenue to just under 20 feet. And then the second is to reduce the parking requirement from the city's standard of 5 parking stalls per each 1,000 square feet of building down to 4 stalls for each 1,000 square feet of building area. And then the second conditional use permit is within this zoning district, motor fuel stations or gas stations that are within 350 feet of a residential property do require a conditional use permit. This is the proposed site plan. In terms of the development application, it's fairly straight. It does not include the grocery store just because they're not proposing any site changes to the grocery store. So the site changes are really related to the construction of that new detached gas station and convenience store, which would be located along White Bear Avenue. And then the access changes that I referenced. As we talked about in the earlier agenda item, the site's access along White Bear is currently located further to the north, closer to the tenant space where Caribou Coffee is located. It's technically a right in, right out, and it provides access into the north side of the site. They are proposing to relocate that access further to the south. It would align with the existing access points across the street on the east side of the Discount Tire and then the multi-tenant commercial building south of that. You'd have an aligned access, which would allow for, it would then be signalized. So it'd be a full signal at that intersection, which would allow full access from both the Maple Ridge site, the entire Maple Ridge site, as well as from those properties along the east side. Along Jarvis, there are actually 3 access points on the city street today, and they would consolidate those down to just 2. The access point further to the west, which would be really dedicated to loading for the loading docks, and then the access which would align with the front drive aisle along the front of the grocery store tenant space. I should just say, as we talked about the tax increment application earlier in the agenda, as we talked about the development agreement, the assistance is really dedicated to these, what we're calling the public improvements, which are improvements that are happening within the rights of way of the 2 streets, benefiting certainly the Maple Ridge site, but also benefiting other commercial properties across the street along the corridor, but also providing enhanced improvements to the actual traveling public on those 2 public streets. These are the proposed, this is the subject of the design review, which is the exterior elevations of the gas station and C-store. You can see it's primarily brick with some limestone panels in kind of varying colors. They have added some of the comments from the Community Design Review Board were about enhancing the elevations along the east side of the building, although it kind of functions as the back of the building. It's a very public facing elevation because it's along White Bear Avenue and its proximity to it. So they have submitted the revised elevation to add some additional architectural elements, as well as some additional landscaping to that east side of the building to address the comments from the CDRB. And this is just a close-up of that actual C-store and gas station building. You can see what's driving that need for a reduced setback is the fuel stations themselves needing, and then also just trying to reduce the amount of parking stalls that are required to be eliminated for this new building. There would be 7 trees that would be removed and then 4 new planted, as I mentioned, with some enhancements that are recommended from the CDRB, as well as a final review of the photo plan to make sure it meets the city's exterior lighting standards. And then lastly, the sign plan is really just codifying the multi-tenant signs within this building. It would allow the grocery store wall signage plus a monument sign. It would also allow wall signs on the new C-store, but would not allow a separate freestanding sign for that gas station and convenience store. As we have been doing in development applications since we've gone to virtual planning commission and council meetings, we did send out the customary neighborhood surveys to all properties within 500 feet. We also posted a presentation to the city's website and allowing for comment, as well as the project information. The planning commission did hold its public hearing on May 19th, in which nobody spoke. And the Planning Commission and CDRB did recommend approval of these development applications with some of those conditions that I outlined in the presentation. The last thing I would note is we are recommending approval of the 2 resolutions that were in your packet. You'll note on on one of those resolutions, there's actually a condition around a development agreement. And that's just noting that those public improvements will be constructed by privately by the property owner, be the responsibility of the property owner. So we want to ensure we have an agreement in place to cover the construction of public improvements within the county and city's right of way for those projects. So we will bring that, negotiate that development agreement and also bring that back to you. So with that, Mayor and Council, I'm happy to answer any questions. And as previously, Brittany Finch from Slate and Phil Hoy from Hy-Vee are also here this evening. I have nothing further.
Whoops. It would help if I unmuted myself. Sorry about that. Mr. Hoy, is there anything that you would like to add to the presentation?
Just my appreciation for considering this application, and appreciate all the work staff's done, the timeliness of that effort, and bringing this. We're excited about the project and excited to get going. It's our intent to actually start this project yet this year. So the timeliness of this meeting and others has been important to us to accomplish that goal before. Well, we already had ice falling from the sky last night, so who knows what we'll have in the upcoming months. But we're eager to get going and look forward to a good project. And I'm here for any questions you might have.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Finch, is there anything you would like to add to the presentation?
No, nothing too much. I think just talking to all the tenants in the shopping center and some of the surrounding tenants, everyone's very excited to, for a grocery store to come in to that shopping center. And like people have said in the past, it's going to benefit the community and public businesses and employment in the area. So like Phil said, everyone is very excited for this project.
Thank you very much. Okay, council members, then let's do our round robin in terms of questions for staff or Mr. Hoy or Ms. Finch. Councilmember Juniman.
Thank you, Mayor. First of all, may I say I'll be excited not to be dropping my money in Oakdale. But I do have a couple of questions. Number one, the design review board recommended some elevation changes, and then they also said there should be additional landscaping. And I don't know if that's something that they have agreed to or not. I can't tell by I think it says that in the staff report, but it doesn't really say agreed to, so I'd like to know that. And also the same thing with the sign ordinance, that they are following the comprehensive sign plan, and that they're aware that there are sign size requirements with that. Those are the two things that concern me about, the Maplewood rules that might be different from someone else's. And then
Okay.
also one more that has to do with signs. Many places that have a gas station also want a sign up in the air, shall we say, one way or the other, to post gas prices. So how does that, since the convenience store cannot have a monument sign, how that would be addressed?
Okay, Mr. Thompson, there are 3 questions there for you. Can you respond to those, please?
Certainly, Mayor and Council. On the first question, so the CDRB will actually, yes, the applicant has been agreeable to the conditions and submitted revised elevations. The revisions will actually go back to the CDRB next Tuesday at their regular meeting for review for the final approvals of the design for the project. The second question was, about the signs. Yes, again, they've been agreeable to the conditions that have been put in there and are consistent with the plans that have been submitted for this. So there shouldn't be any surprises of those requirements. And thirdly, Hy-Vee could probably confirm this, but there would not be a separate freestanding sign allowed for the gas station. So if they want to do any sort of pricing on the gas station for the gas prices, that would need to be incorporated into the one freestanding sign that would be allowed for the Hy-Vee itself.
Thank you. And Mayor, I have one more question, and it's about parking. I know that reduced parking is in now. There aren't as many needs usually, although the Hy-Vee in Oakdale might argue that particular, I don't know if you've ever seen the parking lot. But since we're not allowing any kind of other activity like storage and so on the exterior, I know that the Oakdale store had a garden center type building this summer. I don't think, and Mr. Thompson can probably answer this, but I don't think with us reducing their parking, and since that's a common lot for the rest of the center as well, we would probably not be able to accommodate that, would we?
Mr. Thompson, can you respond to that?
Yeah, Mayor and Council, under the current conditions of approval, that would obstruction of the parking stalls for sales would not be allowed. There would certainly be allowed along the gas station that's specifically called out for the customary things at the gas station, but not the obstruction of parking stalls.
Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Smith.
I don't have any questions. Thank you.
Okay, Councilmember Knutson.
I don't have any questions, but I sit in on planning and design review, and it's been a rigorous review, and the applicant's been very cooperative. So it's a well-designed project.
Thank you very much. Councilmember Neblett.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Mr. Thompson, I have a question about the placing of the light. And I'm thinking about, I'm looking at the sheet that has the design review, landscaping and lighting, which has the gas station on the front. And you talked about how the light would be at the same place as the entryway on the other side of the street. And here's what I'm confused about. We know that there's a traffic light at Jarvis and White Bear. Where is this new light that will allow entrance and egress, I guess, is going to be on White Bear Avenue?
Mayor and Council, so the new traffic light will be located where the current entrance and the current access point is on the east side of White Bear for the discount tire and the liquor store property. So their access location is not changing. That is where the new signalized access will be. When Hy-Vee, when Hy-Vee and the property owner originally came to us, they did tell us that one of the critical components of this project was improved access to ensure the success of the grocery store. And so we've had a number of meetings with Ramsey County around because they control White Bear Avenue as a county road, to determine that location to make sure there's adequate distance and between those signalized intersections. And they have approved this location for that signalized access.
Okay. So if I'm thinking about this correctly, just by the way I'm looking at it, so the entrance is almost, the gas station goes all the way down to almost the coffee shop down there, right?
I'm sorry, say that. I missed that. Say that one more time.
So the going north in with the gas station, the whole gas station drawing here. So it reaches almost all the way down to the coffee shop.
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Can you see my screen being
Yes.
shared?
Yes. Go down to that third, the third.
Right. Oh, down here.
Mr. Thompson, go down to your third sheet here.
The third slide.
There, yes. So if I'm looking at this correctly, I'm just pointing at it like you can see me. Going north. Okay. So you're saying that the traffic light is going to be down there. And the
Right.
coffee shop where?
So, Mayor and Council, this is the new signalized access. Can you see my?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, so this is the new signalized access.
Okay.
This is the new freestanding coffee shop and gas station building right here. This drive
It's a
comes
whole
into
new
the site.
building.
It's a whole new building.
Got it. Oh, I didn't understand that. Okay, I got it. Thank you.
Any other questions, Councilmember Neblett?
No, I'm good. Thanks.
Okay. Then I guess I only have one question. I am also excited in not sharing my money down in Oakdale. And I join along with Councilmember Juniman. So, Mr. Hoy, is it possible that we could be buying Christmas turkeys at Hy-Vee in Maplewood? I'm talking about a timeline.
At this point, we do not have. Madam Mayor, can everybody hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. At this point, I don't have a projected open date. It really just depends on how early we're able to get started on construction, and just kind of how things go as we move through the construction timeline. It would be terrific if I could tell you that you could be buying Christmas hams or whatever it is for the holidays. I think that'd be tight, but know that we'll proceed quickly, as efficiently as we can to get the store open. I'm not confident that it'll be by Christmas, but
thank you. I don't mean to hold you to that or to put you on the spot.
No, that's fine.
Yeah. So, council members, we have two motions before us. Do I have the first motion to approve a resolution for a conditional use permit for a plan? Go ahead.
I move the conditional use permit, for the resolution for the convenience store, etc.
Actually, we have to do the first one first, I think. Motion to approve. I'll make the motion, okay, just for clarity. Motion to approve a resolution for a conditional use permit for a planned unit development and a motor fuel station at 2501 White Bear Avenue.
I thought that's what I said when I said the convenience store, but okay. Second.
Okay, moved by Abrams, seconded by Juniman. The motion to approve a resolution for a conditional use permit for a planned unit development and a motor fuel station at 2501 White Bear Avenue. Any further discussion, Councilmember Juniman?
No, thank you.
Councilmember Smith?
No, thank you.
Councilmember Knudsen?
No, thank you.
Councilmember Neblett?
No, thank you.
Okay, hearing no further discussion, then let's vote. Councilmember Juniman?
Aye.
Councilmember Smith?
Aye.
Councilmember Knudsen?
Aye.
Councilmember Neblett?
Aye.
And I vote aye as well. Councilmember Juniman, I apologize. I thought you were reading the second one and not the first one.
No, sorry.
Okay.
No.
We do have a second motion. Would you like to
Okay,
make that?
I moved to approve the resolution for design review and a comprehensive sign plan amendment for the new convenience store to be constructed at 2501 White Bear Avenue North and for access changes from the site to White Bear Avenue North and Jarvis Avenue East.
Second.
Moved by Juniman, seconded by, I believe that was Knutson. The motion to approve a resolution for design review and a comprehensive sign plan amendment for a new convenience store to be constructed at 2501 White Bear Avenue North and for the access changes from the site to White Bear Avenue North and Jarvis Avenue East. Further discussion, Councilmember Juniman.
No, thank you.
Councilmember Smith.
No, thank you.
Councilmember Knutson.
No, thanks.
Councilmember Neblett.
No, thank you.
All right, then let's vote. Councilmember Juniman.
Aye, and even if it isn't Christmas, the sooner the better.
Councilmember Smith.
Aye.
Councilmember Knutson.
Aye.
Councilmember Neblett.
Aye.
And I vote aye as well. Congratulations, and we really look forward to welcoming Hy-Vee into Maplewood. You are going to be a great asset, and we are thrilled.
Yes, we are.
All right, we still have some agenda items, folks. Let's move on to J3, the cooperative agreement with Ramsey County for the ponds at Battle Creek Community Engagement Process. Mr. Thompson, this is yours as well.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. So this does not relate to Hy-Vee or Maple Ridge. So in December of 2019, the Ramsey County Board approved its biennium budget for 2020 and 2021. Part of the budget, it calls for the closure of the ponds at Battle Creek Golf Course following the 2020 season. So the ponds at Battle Creek Golf Course is located in South Maplewood. It's a 95-acre site that, as I referenced, is currently used as a golf course. In addition, Ramsey County owns 77 acres of land that's undeveloped and adjacent and just north of the county's correctional facility. Understanding is that the Ramsey County Board also approved essentially working collaboratively with the city on a community engagement process. And that's what brings us here this evening, is to review that community engagement process and the agreement with the county and the city to facilitate that process. I think that the agreement and how we've outlined it is that the roles, Ramsey County is really acting as the property owner, in addition to operating it as a park today or a golf course today. They are the owner of both of these parcels of land. It's a control it from an owner's perspective. But as we know, the city is the land use and development authority as we adopt our comp plan, our comprehensive planning, and our zoning regulations. As the county has stated in our previous meetings we've had on this topic, the property is not currently actively for sale, but the county is considering various options for disposition or repositioning of both of these properties, the 77 acres and to the north of Lower Afton and the ponds at Battle Creek site as well. Just to provide a little bit of background information in terms of the city side of it with our comp plan and zoning. The ponds at Battle Creek site is currently guided for parks and open space, and the northern property is guided in our comprehensive plan for institutional uses. And these really just reflect and are consistent with the current uses of these properties. As the council knows, we updated just last year, we finalized a long process to update our 20-year planning document, our comprehensive plan. And under that, we did not consider and we didn't approve in our comp plan any changes to those future land use designations to these parcels. And it's largely a function of assumptions that the county would continue ownership or continue an operation of those current uses. So as Ramsey County is considering what the other options for these areas would be, we have outlined a community engagement process for which we've identified a scope with Perkins and Will, which is ultimately rooted in community engagement, but should also be planning for the future of the future uses of both of these sites. So in your packet, there is the scope of work from Perkins and Will, and Jay Denna and John Slack are on our call this evening to answer any questions or provide any comments on the scope that they have provided. But it's certainly a consultant that the city is has a history of collaborating on successful projects, including the Rice-Larpenter Vision Plan, as well as the North End Vision Plan. So the scope provides for a three-phase engagement process. Those can be defined first as the analysis and visioning phase. This would be focused on kind of a gathering of information and understanding the site itself, the concerns, issues, opportunities, and some of the constraints in any sort of alternate uses of these sites. The second phase would be around developing concepts for the site of 2 alternative site plans we'd be prepared, and these would outline some of the potential development that could be created based on the work in phase 1, the analysis and visioning that's done. And then lastly, the third phase would be around implementation, which could be refining those concept plans into kind of a finalized redevelopment site plan that could be used both by the county and by the city for future action and implementation on any changes to these sites. The scope is really rooted in community engagement. So there is community engagement anticipated in all 3 phases of this process, from phase 1 through phase 3. We had actually developed the scope pre-March and in our discussions with the county before the COVID-19 pandemic was upon us. And that is certainly going to constrain our typical past practices that we've done around community engagement for those open houses. Because how we have done those in the past is kind of a couple-hour window where people can come and see plans and put hands on map and move blocks around. But we will have some constraints because of the parameters around social distancing. But we are confident that we can still do not only successful community engagement, but probably an enhanced community engagement that we under new formats. And so I think this is a good opportunity to expand how we do our engagement to reach more people than when maybe otherwise be inclined to attend just an evening meeting several times throughout the course of this process. That would allow for more continuing engagement online and in different formats. So the proposal does outline some flexibility on that, on using online videos online videos and interactive live meeting that's hosted online. Certainly use of our website. And I would point, I think, to some of the, it's certainly a smaller scale, but I think, as we've done with some of our development applications, I think we found that there are ways still to engage with people and receive comments and input as we go through a process in a new format. But ultimately, we can include, if desired, a mixture of in-person, which will look different, but also enhanced virtual engagement. But, at the end of the day, the community engagement and the county and the city agree on this, that community engagement is at the core of what this project is anticipated to do over the next 6 to 7 months. So before the council tonight is a cooperative agreement, which really codifies the terms between the county and the city for this project. To summarize it, the city will hire Perkins and Will. They're in our consultant pool, and so we have the ability to hire them as a consultant to contract for these services and to execute the scope. Both the city and the county will actively participate in this process. And then Ramsey County will be responsible for paying the full cost of this process, which is estimated at $60,000. So with that, Mayor and Council, I'm happy to answer any questions that may come up, but we are recommending approval of the agreement with Ramsey County so we can proceed with the Perkins and Will scope of services for the community engagement process.
Thank you, Mr. Thompson, for your staff presentation. I am aware that Ramsey County Commissioner Victoria Reinhardt is on our Zoom council meeting, and I wanted to give her an opportunity to discuss from the county's perspective the ponds at Battle Creek. Commissioner Reinhardt, are you on the line with us?
Yes, I am. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Yes, we can.
All
Thank
right.
you for joining us.
Well, first of all, I want to thank you not only for your patience, but for taking the lead in this very important community engagement process. That was part of what the county board approved last year. And obviously, as was mentioned, we had intended to start this process in March of 2020 with the idea, of course, that we would have it complete and be able to move forward into 2021 under the plans that were the normal budgeting process. COVID-19 has had an impact, to say the least, on everything, on budgets, on the work that we do, on how we can move forward. I do think that the enhanced public engagement is something that will definitely come from this. It's been amazing to me how many community engagement processes and meetings I've been in, and I'm sure you have been as well, where there are more people involved and they're able to speak up and provide some really good dialogue. I think one of the reasons is there's no travel time, there's no childcare, there's no parking, and so people are more willing to come forward and participate that way, even though I know that we all miss the in-person contact. So we make the best of it because that's what we do here. But I do think, this is, instead of having this complete at this point, it's going to go into March of next year before we get to the decision-making side of this. I mentioned the budget, and normally, Ramsey County has a 2-year budget. So the last one was for 2020 and 2021, although we do have to go in each year and relook at the budget. And clearly, as you can imagine, and I know the city has done the same thing, even though it's not a 2-year budget, but the 2021 budget is going to look very different than what we had anticipated a year ago. And ours is going to be coming out shortly as well. So, and there's significant changes because that's the world we're living in right now. So I just, again, want to say thank you. I know this has gone on longer than we anticipated, but I know that with Maplewood at the lead of this and Perkins and Will, that seeing some of their previous products, that I'm really looking forward to this moving forward and figuring out what are we going to do. There are 2 parcels of land, as was pointed out. The ponds is currently on one portion of it, but even that 88 acres or 95 acres or whatever it is, a lot of that is protected environmental preservation area within the golf course even. But there's significant amounts of land there in the 77 acres on the other side. So I think that there's an opportunity here as far as what will happen with the ponds golf course. You know where I stand on that, and I know where the city stands on that. But there's also other opportunities here, and we can't lose sight of that, and how everything could work together so that we get the best possible product, just as they've done on Rice and Larpenteur and other areas, to make it fit with what the community needs and wants. So I'm open for any questions, and I know that Martha is on the line if you have questions about the agreement or any other part of this, so staff can also answer questions if I'm not able to, if you have any for me. Thank you. Are there any questions for me?
Mayor, it's possible you're still muted.
It is.
Oh.
Too. Sorry that you all missed it, but
it was really good though, wasn't it?
Oh, I'm sorry. Before I move on to calling on the Perkins and Will staff. What I'd like to do is give the council an opportunity to ask any questions of Mr. Thompson or Commissioner Reinhardt, and then we'll hear from Perkins and Will. I think that way you won't have to store up your questions in the event that you do have some. So Councilmember Juniman, do you have any questions for Mr. Thompson or for Commissioner Reinhardt?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. First of all, I'd like to thank Commissioner Reinhardt for trying to help us with this and how it started out, which was kind of on a sour note, might we say. And I think she picked it up and tried to make our wishes and our questions known to her fellow board members. So I thank her for that, and I don't envy her job at all. That being said, is there any indication, or has she felt any vibes that either one of these parcels won't eventually be for sale? I know that's in the mind now, but are we thinking that this is actually what's going to happen?
Commissioner Reinhardt?
I think, yes, there is no doubt in my mind that they will be for sale.
Okay, thanks. And the other comment I have, not so much a question as a comment, but I think I'm going to point out that I think we did the county a favor with our engagement, shall we say, invitation. I'll be nice. And I also think that it's going to go very well. Our previous experience with Perkins and Will has been fantastic, as she pointed out. And my first meeting with them was way back on the first meeting of the Rice Larpenter group. And if they could draw that group together and come up with that fantastic plan, I think they can do just about anything. So I think facilitating this is right up their alley. And I love the fact that they come up with more than one option, and you can take pieces from the options that will fit whatever you need to do. I think we'll come out with something that should work. Thanks.
Thank you, Councilmember Juniman. Councilmember Smith.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you, Commissioner Reinhardt, for all of your hard work on our behalf. I know you continue to be a great ally of Maplewood, and I hope you feel appreciated, because you are.
Thank you.
You know, this has been a tough process, I think, both from kind of the initial way it went down, as well as, a lot of people really, I think, being frustrated, including, I think, most of us on this call, on the actual outcome. So I think this will be a great opportunity for us to reset with the neighborhoods in South Maplewood who, sometimes feel a little disconnected from the rest of the city. I think it's a great way for us to figure out, maybe get to the root of why is that outside of geography, and how could we help them feel more connected to the rest of the city. So I think as we look at this, to really understand the future of South Maplewood and get those voices heard, to see, can we build a future collaboratively with neighbors here that also starts to create a more kind of cohesive unit of the city. So I think this will be a great process. We'll see where things land as far as that land getting sold, but I'd say I think this is the right first step. So I'm very grateful to the commissioner and to the county for being willing to step up with some dollars and some time and to go through this process with us.
Thank you, Councilmember Smith, sorry. Councilmember Knutson.
My only comment is that in the early days, it just seemed like someone in Ramsey County had something in mind. And, what's developed is really for both Ramsey County and Maplewood, a great opportunity, to look at all options and assuage the community and try and get them behind it. And I thank the commissioner. She's done a great job. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Councilmember Neblett.
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor. I'm excited about this plan. It's been a long time coming. At this point, at least it feels like a long time coming. And I'm just glad that we're here now. I just want to echo my fellow council members' thanks and continued support of Maplewood from Commissioner Reinhardt. Your You're an advocate not only for us, but for the citizens of Ramsey County, and we really do appreciate it. I'd also like to say thank you, particularly to Brian Smith in this. This has been a hard go for folks who love the pond. And somebody paid you a really nice compliment the other day, Brian. And it just goes to show one thing that we have to continue to do, and that's communicate. When things are happening, communicate. And that's the compliment that someone paid to you, Brian, because there was a lot of uproar about what's going on with the ponds, what's going on. And after you got in there and explained exactly what was going on, people calmed down and were satisfied with your answers because they felt like they knew what was going on. So I just want us to remember that, to just keep people in the loop. And I think this is going to do this plan. So I'm glad that we're here. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Neblett. You know, from my perspective, this started off very poorly and took everyone by surprise. And I think that by constructively engaging in public discourse like this, where we can communicate and where we can bring in a consultant and we can have some meaningful discussions about the best use for these two separate pieces of property. One thing that I want to absolutely make clear is that one of the options should continue to be that it remains as a golf course. Now, with that being said, there is an awful lot of misinformation out there where people believe that because the golf course is located in the city of Maplewood that we own it. We do not own it. The county owns it. Maplewood's role in this is that we are the zoning authority. And the whole purpose of this engagement process, which from my perspective, I am going to absolutely expect will be robust, that it will engage and really take in our community and our businesses, because these two plots of land are very big pieces of property in our city, and that really our community members get an opportunity to be heard on this. While the county may own it, we want to make sure that anything that happens with this property is for the best interest of our community. And so I want to assure anyone who's listening in on this, because I have gotten a number of calls and emails about the ponds and what's happening with the ponds. And I certainly want them to participate in this engagement process with Perkins and Will. And from my experience, both with Rice Larpenter and with the North End, I was very satisfied with, the extent of public engagement in both of those projects. And I will expect nothing less. And even though we're in the middle of a pandemic and we're conducting business virtually, we still have to be creative and come up with ways where people can be heard. And that's going to be that's my expectation in what this looks like. And I'm holding out. I hope that there is a buyer who would love to continue operating this as a golf course, that's part of it. So with that, let's move on, and we can hear from, I don't know if it's going to be John Slack or Jay Dima from Perkins and Will. Do you want to talk about the engagement process a bit, please?
Mayor, this is Jay Dima with Perkins and Will, and I think I'll take the floor first on behalf of Perkins and Will, and John can certainly jump in as necessary. But Mayor and members of the council, thank you very, very much for continuing to think about Perkins and Will as being a partner on a project like this. We have had just an exceptional a time working with the city and the communities within the city on the previous planning projects that we've done. And we look really, really forward to being able to work on this one as well, recognizing just the given the location and the size and of course the history with these two sites. We would really love to be able to move forward with, as you all have been talking about, a truly inclusive process to listen to folks before we even ever begin to think of any potential vision for either site moving forward. That's just baked into our process, and we're honored that you folks have recognized that in our previous work as well. So we're intended to carry that forward. I just want to comment a couple things specifically about community engagement, and of course doing this in the time of COVID-19. As a planning and design firm, this is something that Perkins and Will, obviously it's at the core of what we do, and we have been taking this approach to these times very, very seriously. And we, with every project that we engage folks on, we always learn a little bit more. And we always take what we learn and apply it to our next projects that we work on. And like I've heard some of you mentioned tonight, that one of the somewhat upsides of doing a process that is more dependent on virtual means, we have seen in some corners, more and greater participation. Much as the same reasons have been mentioned around folks who it's just more flexible for them to participate in a virtual process than in a traditional process. With that being said, we really do value inclusivity and just more equity in all the community engagement processes we go through. So we're always going to be looking at ways in which being able to close the gap on the digital divide on projects like this, and making every effort to be creative about how we can do that. And so, as I mentioned, we've been doing a lot of great things using the virtual tools that, though, at times they can feel a little bit cumbersome for folks who are new to some of the technology. We are always very, very open and understanding of that there's a learning curve for everyone in these processes, even for ourselves. So it just requires a little bit more patience, but I think in a process like this, patience is just of the utmost and is highly valued. With that, I guess I'll just probably close my thoughts. John, if there's anything here that you feel you might want to add, please do.
Good evening, Madam Mayor and members of the council. I guess the only thing I would add is that the initial first step for us in the planning process is to really work with city staff to develop the community engagement plan. And so utilizing all the tools and resources that we have, and working with the city staff to really identify key stakeholder groups and build that into our overall plan. And this community engagement plan is something that we can share with you as we move forward, noting that it is a flexible plan. And so nothing's set in stone, and it allows for flexibility as we move through the planning process to ensure that we are getting the most out of our community engagement, and that we're hearing the voices and reaching out to the voices that need to be heard through the process. And that will be documented. And so that's our initial first step to ensure successful outcomes in the planning process.
Thank you for those comments. I think for me, it would be very helpful if once you work with staff and get the process organized and developed, I would like a report back to council so that we can weigh in on it and review it and understand what that process is going to look like. So that's my comment. Is there anything else you would like to add? Otherwise, I'm going to open it up and ask our council members if they have any questions. Okay, then let's go with Councilmember Juniman.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm with you. I think if we would get sent back to us at least a framework of how they think this is going to work, it would be helpful for us. First of all, we have to be the first ones to be engaged. So it's good if we know what we're engaged in. And I do think that based on our previous experiences, that these people do know how to bring out everybody's interests. And again, we are trying to strive for equity in our city. So this is very important that they are aware of this and have dealt with it before. So I'm looking forward to this. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Councilmember Smith.
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, I concur with Councilmember June and very excited about this. We do really, need to communicate this, I think, early and often as we start to figure out how to do this process. So, I don't think we can communicate it too much in too many different ways. So, happy to help in that process, though, and looking forward to some rich discussions.
Thank you. Councilmember Knudsen.
Yeah, I agree with you, Madam Mayor. The frequent updates would be great. Kind of enlist us as listening and ambassadors. So appreciate it.
Okay. Councilmember Neblett.
I guess the only thing that I would say is that I agree with everything that's been said.
Okay. All right. Let's see. We have a motion before us. Council members, is there someone who wants to bring that motion?
I move the cooperative agreement with Ramsey County for the Ponds of Battle Creek community engagement process with Perkins and Will.
There a second?
Second.
Ooh.
I beat you.
Okay.
That was 3-way tie, I think.
It was
moved by Juniman, and I believe it was seconded by Neblett first. The motion to approve the terms of the attached cooperative agreement and authorize the mayor and city manager to execute the agreement between the city of Maplewood and Ramsey County.
I think that was an oral response.
Yeah.
Councilmember Juniman, is there any other discussion?
No, I just think this is a wonderful thing, and I can't wait till we get started now.
Okay, Councilmember Smith, thank you.
No comments, thank you.
Okay, Councilmember Knudsen.
No, thank you.
Councilmember Neblett.
No, thanks.
Okay, then let's vote on the motion. Councilmember Juniman.
Aye.
Councilmember Smith.
Aye.
Councilmember Knudsen.
Aye.
Councilmember Neblett.
Aye.
And I vote aye as well. The motion passes. Thank you very much, everyone. I look forward to hearing the framework for the engagement process. We have one more agenda item, and it is the roof replacement for the 1902 City Building. And
we obviously kept the most exciting till last.
They did. And Mr. Thompson, this one isn't yours. This is Mr. Love's.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can. Thank you. Welcome.
Good evening. So the roof system for the 1902 Public Works building is beyond its useful life. It's failing and we have leaks in it and it's in need of replacement. The project scope is replacing the roof that was originally constructed back in 1978. It does not include the roof that was added on as part of the 2005 building addition. So as we mentioned here, the plans and specifications are ready. We have a tentative bid date for September 4th of this year, 2020. The original CIP estimated cost for this was $410,000 and to be funded through the Building Maintenance Fund. The total estimated project cost after design, including the design and inspection, as well as construction, is $561,505. This is approximately $151,000 over the CIP costs. Staff has worked with the finance director to make appropriate changes to future CIP projects as far as when they would happen to account for the estimated increased project. So if we move forward tonight with the bid, staff would be bringing back the bid results to council to consider as an award of contract. And with that, I am available for any questions.
Hey, thank you, Mr. Love. Councilmember Juniman, do you have any questions about the roof replacement?
No, but I would say it was about time. 1978 is a long time ago.
Yes, it is. Councilmember Smith.
Yeah, I was 3 in 78. So.
All right, that's enough.
Don't brag. Thanks, Brian.
So I think the roof's held up better than I have. But still probably time for replacement.
Councilmember Knudsen.
No, thank you.
Okay, Councilmember Neblett.
Yes, Mayor. Mr. Love, do you think that this is going to be done? It's got to be done this year, correct?
Mayor and council, that is what staff is proposing. Again, we're going to, if we go out for bids here, we'll bring those results back to you to consider for awarding of contract. And if the contract is awarded, we'd be looking at construction this year, yes.
Okay. Do you think it could be done before the first snowfall?
Mayor and council, yes.
Okay. Very good. That's all I have. Thank you.
Okay, then council members, is there a motion?
I move to approve the resolution approving plans and specifications and advertising for bids for the 1902 building roof replacement city project 20-06.
Second.
There's moved by Juniman, seconded by Neblett, the motion to approve the resolution approving plans and specifications and advertising for bids for the 1902 building roof replacement city project 20-06. Any further discussion, Councilmember Juniman?
No, only that we'll be collecting buckets after the roof is done.
I'm hoping it doesn't rain very much. Okay, Councilmember Smith.
No further comment.
Councilmember Knudsen.
No, thank you.
Councilmember Neblett.
None, thank you.
Okay, then council members, let's vote. Councilmember Juniman.
Aye.
Councilmember Smith.
Aye.
Councilmember Knudsen.
Aye.
Councilmember Neblett.
Aye.
And I vote aye as well. And council members, we have exhausted our agenda. And what I'd like to do, as we've done in our past virtual meetings, is I've given you each an opportunity for some closing remarks. Councilmember Juniman, you're first tonight.
Thank you, ma'am. Well, I think it's amazing when you said how long we've been doing this, but it is all starting to feel like we're actually doing the business of the city in a more normal fashion. So I guess as we've been doing it so long, we're getting used to it, which is good. And it has its pluses. And as someone's pointed out tonight, we were talking about the ponds and the other property with the county. It will bring more people in because of the convenience. So I guess everything has a blessing side to it, if you will. And again, a reminder to people that tomorrow is the primary election. And if they haven't voted ahead of time, polls are open the normal hours. And I would encourage people to please wear masks. After all, those judges sit there with everybody coming in, we have to think of their well-being as well. And we thank the people who are being judges. This is a difficult time for such things. And I wish luck to all the candidates. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councilmember Juniman. Councilmember Smith.
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, it's. I think one of the wonderful things about human beings is that we do find ways to adapt. And through my day job, through my time here on the council over the last 5 months, it's been remarkable to me how much we've been able to continue normalcy on a lot of things. And my day job, things are moving along. We just found out today we're going to be home until January 2nd, at least. And everybody just sort of took it in stride, and we just know that we're pretty good at this now. And I think the same applies here with the council. And I think with the support of Mr. Folds and the rest of the team, it's really gone smoothly. So I think it's pretty cool. We've got a lot of work to do, and so I'm glad we're getting to it. Election day tomorrow, I've already voted, but just want to encourage folks. I think if we've learned nothing else over the last several years, elections matter a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's really important that folks engage and exercise their right to vote, because it's so critical to having a voice at all levels of government, and they're all important. So it's exciting. So good luck to all the candidates tomorrow, and let's hope everything goes well. And again, a big thanks to the election judges and those involved in the city staff of running these things. They are not simple operations. So and appreciate everybody's hard work.
Thank you very much. Councilmember Knudsen.
Tonight was a very interesting meeting, starting with the EDA. We were doing, in spite of the COVID, we're really moving ahead. People are interested in Maplewood. They're interested in our thoughts and how we can work together. We had Council Member Neblet's, speaker mind about, affordable housing and some good answers but it's still there that we need to work harder on that. So it was a good evening. Lots of good work. Thank you.
Councilmember Neblet.
Thank you, Mayor. Vote, vote, vote. Tomorrow is election day. And like Councilmember Smith said, your vote matters. I think about the past couple of weeks and how many tributes I've seen to former Congressman John Lewis. And it just reminded me of how many people in this country have died for our liberty and right to vote, just to vote. So I just want to say, if you haven't voted already, vote, 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 vote. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you, council members. Thank you, staff, for keeping us on track with this amazing technology that we can continue the business of the city. I think, I just want to close out reflecting on the fact that even though we're 5 months into a pandemic, tonight, work of the council, moved forward with Hy-Vee coming into our community. We also are looking at the new project potential project over there at Frost English. And we have some really amazing things that are happening despite the fact that we are in a pandemic. And these are the kinds of things that, moving on and moving forward with that really are going to transform our city during some really dark days. But I just want to encourage people that there's a lot of goodness out there and we are getting business done. And I just can't wait to see what Maplewood is going to look like when we can all get back together again and these new projects really come to fruition. So with that, council members, thank you very much for your service. And with that, we are adjourned.
Thank you, Mayor.